How are you doing? Thank you so much for joining me with another math lesson with Mr. Woodford. As we dive and continue to work on Unit 3, we have talked about adding rational numbers. We were talking about multiplying and dividing and adding, subtracting fractions. And last lesson, we talked about specifically playing around with fractions, decimals, and even square roots. Today, we're not going to add those, but instead we're going to subtract them. So please make sure you have your packet out. Also, make sure you have your calculator ready as we're going to look at lesson 3.7. All right, as usual with every single lesson, it starts off with the bell work. Take this time, pause the video if you need to be able to work on bell work A and bell work B. All right, if you put an A, I want to just remind you, when it comes to mixed numbers, you do not have to try to turn it into an improper fraction. Instead, just put it directly like that on your calculator by adding 2 ABC 3, ABC 5, plus 3.24 plus square root of 25. Now remember, the square root button is second x squared, right? That will help you create that kind of like house, and then you can put the number 25 on the inside. When you go through and you solve this particular number, right? I'm not going to show all the work because we are just plugging in our calculator and getting our answer. It should give you an answer of 10.84. Now, if you was a rebel and you said, I want to challenge myself, Mr. Warford, I don't want to use a calculator, you could have definitely still did that. This would have gave you 5. This would have gave you 2.6. And you would have been able to add all three of these numbers together, okay? And you would have ended up with 10.84. For B, you should have been able to put this in, 5ABC2 plus 2.24 plus second x squared 16. Once you put that in, your answer should have came out to 9.74. And once again, if you said, Mr. Woodford, I want to try this without the calculator, not a problem. That would have gave you 4. You should know that 5 divided by 2 is 2.5 plus 3.24 plus this 4, and you would have still ended up with the same exact answer. All right? Now, today's lesson compared to the lesson before this, 3.6, is we're talking about subtraction, subtracting rational numbers. The good news is, once again, we're going to be able to play around with our calculators to be able to determine what our answers actually are. Just like yesterday, take a moment to see if you can figure out, or not yesterday, it may not be yesterday, just like lesson 3.6, see if you can figure out what these practice problems are, ABC, with subtracting. And now do this without a calculator. See if you can do this without a calculator. If you need to, pause the video. That way I don't give you the answers ahead of time. Awesome. Let's do it. So for this first one here, you should have got 0.1. And that is a positive number, right? 4.6 minus 4.5. You could do it like this, 4.6 minus 4.5, 6 minus 5. That's going to give you 1. 4 minus 4 gives you that 0. You could put the 0 here if you want, or you can leave it just 0.1. For B, you should notice that there are different signs. One's positive, one's negative. So instead, you could flip them around, do 3.4 minus 2.5, but just make sure you get the answer and it stays negative, because 3.4, which is bigger, is negative here. You would end up getting borrowing, rather, right? You would end up borrowing, getting 14 minus 5, that'll give you 9. So you end up with negative 0.9 or negative 0.9, okay? And lastly, for C, 7.2 minus 4.5. If you set it up like this, that's fine, but you will have to borrow, okay? This is going to give you a 6 here, 12 there, right? When you do 12 minus 5, you get 7. 6 minus 4 will give you 2. Our answer is 2.7. Right? Now, just similar to also the last lesson, we're going to play around with using the calculators. If you want to challenge yourself in this lesson to say, Mr. Woodford, I don't want calculators, I want to do it off the top of my head, that is a-okay with me. I do not mind that. However, I'm going to quickly go through the answers, just telling you once again how to type it in with your calculator, right? So that way you can quickly get to the answer. You would type in -4 ABC, 1 ABC, 5 subtraction. This is a negative symbol. This is subtraction, okay? Do not confuse them two on the calculator. In actual math, a negative sign, whether it's the same as subtraction sign. However, in the calculator, there are separate buttons, so you need to make sure you put the right one in, okay? and then subtract 3.7. When you do that, you should end up getting negative 7.9. Let me just double check. Hold on. This is negative 4.2 minus 3.7. So this should be negative 7.9. Okay. Okay. Now, also going over here, I'm going to quickly do it again on using the calculator. Negative 6, ABC2, ABC3. These little backwards L's are indication of ABC. All right, the ABC button. Subtraction, 3.7. Subtraction, second x squared, which is going to give you the square root 16. And when you do that, you should get the answer of, give me 1 second. I'm using PEMDAS here correctly. This would give me negative 10.3. Right, there's a subtraction actually here. Oh, sorry, that's 0.7. Okay, subtracting 4. So about negative 14.3 should be your answer, okay? Negative 14.3 should be your answer. Let me just double check to make sure I'm also on the right page here. Yep, so that'll give us about 4. I mean, give or take this decimal, okay? Give or take the decimal, but that's around the answer, okay? Once again, work through this worksheet, put it in your calculator. Be very careful with the negatives. Be very careful with subtraction. Second, x squared gives you the square root, and ABC will give you the fraction that you need. All right. In case you don't want to use ABC, you need to remember, ladies and gentlemen, a fraction is really just division. Okay. Excellent. Thank you so much for joining me with another math lesson with Mr. Whitford. Until next time, any questions that you have, please put them in the Google Classroom page. I'll see you in class.